You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams.
There's something in the air, the dream of life in love, with minds that rest in prayer, sparking joy we're in awe. No matter where your path has been or time or somehow flies, like souls will come home again, true friendship ever thrives. Is this where the magic happens? Can you feel the hearts revealed right now in you and me? The secret is wherever we are. There's something in a smile that can turn a day around. Moments so worthwhile when we find common ground. No matter what the day might bring, right here we can align, knowing that we will be seen as perfect, whole, divine. This is where the magic happens. Let's feel all the hearts come close to me and me to you. The secret is wherever we are. So meet me where the magic happens, feeling all the hearts ignited now in you and me. The secret is wherever. The secret is whenever, the secret is together we are.
Good morning. Welcome to our Sunday service here at CSL St. George. We're so glad you joined us, and happy Father's Day to even those that may not typically be a father, like uncles, grandfathers, and friends who are father figures. So have a wonderful, joyous day. So we continue our theme of June, Holy Boldness. So here at CSL, we are an open, loving, and inclusive community that supports thinking creatively and living a deeply spiritual life. Our purpose is to love, teach, guide, and support a spiritual community in creating and living a life they love using science of mind and spirit principles and practices. Our vision: we are a community-focused center actively living, sharing, and nurturing its members and friends so that we all may live our best lives. So today's service team, you can see Marina kind of over to the left. She's our tech today, back making this service flow beautifully. My name is Gwen Hadley. I'll be hosting, and also I'll be back in a bit to do the reading. We have our music by Alan Stanley, a wonderful singer, songwriter we're happy to have. And our invocation is our practitioner, Stephanie Sterrett. And then we have our senior minister, Joe Kovach. So that's the lineup for today. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Alan Stanley. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Gwen. Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, wherever you may be. So we start out the slow, relaxing song, and then Stephanie's going to come in and offer our invocation or opening prayer, and then we'll come back and sing some more. So make yourself comfortable. Sing them along if you'd like. In the silence, there is a sacred place, a secret meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends and every rainbow ends, good is there. In the light, now you find that you know peace of mind. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there. Peace is there. Truth is there. Spirit's there.
Thank you, Alan. I invite us to just relax, eyes open or eyes closed, as we open today's session with the fact that there is only one mind, and that mind is my mind, and that mind is unstoppable and unbounded. And because I know this for myself, I know this for each and every one of you who are showing up today or in the future. There is no separation. We are unbounded. We are unstoppable. And so with that, I freely give up anything that seemed to get in the way so that my knowing could become more real inside. And I invite that for each and every one of us. As today we bless and honor all fathers on Father's Day, and the term father for whichever entity that belongs to, there is only one. And so with gratitude, I give thanks for that Father in each and every one of us. And so I release my word into the law that today is just going to be exciting and joyful and revealing. And I let it go by my word. And I know that it is done. As together we say, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Stephanie. In the silence, there is a secret place. Wait, sorry, try that over. In the silence, there is a sacred place, a secret meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every quiver blends and every rainbow ends, good is there. In the light, now you find that you know peace of mind. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there. Peace is there. Truth is there. God is there. Now we'd like to bring Gwen back to offer our reading.
Thank you, Alan. So my reading today I'm taking from Science of Mind magazine this month, and it's by our friend Eugene Holden. It's his personal affirmation, and it's entitled Holy Boldness. So it starts, the audacity. To live a grand life takes boldness. It takes commitment to be free from limiting beliefs that don't serve. Now is the time to have the audacity to step up and step out to live your best life ever. On fire. Being on fire means living with passion and enthusiasm. It's about the feeling you bring to your life. Whatever your desire, live it with passion and fire. Be fired up about your life. After all, it's a good one. I am unstoppable. Having the audacity to live your life on fire makes you unstoppable. The same intelligence that causes the sun to shine and the ocean to wave is the intelligence that lives its life as you. Trust this. From on high, with everything going on in the world, it's important to live from a higher consciousness. Keep your spirits up. See the world from a higher perspective, that of the divine. So I lift my eyes to see and accept only the highest and the best. There is only one life. That life is God. I am that life now, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you. It's a little Lane Silver song, and I always like this one. Spirit divine, Spirit divine, Spirit divine. I'm trusting in spirit to meet all my needs. When I trust in spirit, I always succeed. Energy flowing, the light brightly shines. Spirit divine. Sometimes I'm frightened and feeling confused. Then I remember that I'm being used and exalted by Spirit divine. Spirit divine. I'm open and willing, and I'm filling up. The blessings I feel overflow in my cup, with gratitude pointing me to the divine. Spirit divine. I'm trusting in spirit to meet all my needs. When I trust in spirit, I always succeed. Energy flowing, the light brightly shines. Spirit divine. I'm open and willing, and I'm filling up. The blessings I feel overflow in my cup. Gratitude pointing me to the one mind. Spirit divine. Spirit divine. Spirit divine. Spirit divine.
Thank you, Alan. Wonderful as always.
Thank you, Gwen.
To see you. So now it's my pleasure to introduce our own Joe Kovach, Unbounded and Unstoppable. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Gwen. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be back.
Absolutely. Thank you. And good morning to everybody, St. George, and wherever you are when you're watching this or wherever you are. Thank you for the beautiful prayer and reading, and so far, great music. Well, not so far. Thank you for the great music, Ellen. Spirit is divine. And happy Father's Day. It's June already, folks, and time. I just say that. I think every week I continue to say how fast time is going. I wonder if you're feeling it as well. It is, we celebrate Father's Day in this theme of Unstoppable and Unbounded. We're taking a look at also the father, the masculine energy, father, mother, God, the masculine, feminine energy. And so keep that in mind as I share this talk today about, we look at things in dualistic approach. And in May, we focused on the feminine energy in Mother's Day. And now we're looking at the masculine energy. And before I go any further, I want to thank and just praise Bill Smith, who stepped in for me last week with the in-person service, talk about being fired up. That was his first major talk, and I thought he knocked it out of the park. I am fired up for him. He has a lot to offer our community, and that's really what it's all about, isn't it? Is living our best lives and sharing that with our community. So, Bill, thank you very much for stepping in, and which allowed me to initially say goodbye to my son before he went off to the Marines, and life happens, and so he left and then came back, and then he's going tomorrow again. So life just continues to happen. It is unstoppable. And so unbounded and unstoppable. So the idea is when we talk about these things, right, the whole month theme is being bold, right? And when we talk about believing in something so deeply that we have to pursue it, right? And when we do it and we follow our heart, we have this sense of freedom. We have this sense of fulfillment, of purpose. And in Science of Mind, in our philosophy of New Thought, we recognize that there are truly no limits or barriers that can prevent us from achieving our desire, achieving our best life. When we're in that flow of creating, of being, of doing, balanced-wise, harmoniously, then we really literally feel from the inside out that there's nothing holding us back, that we are truly unbounded and unstoppable to create a life that we love. And not to get too far ahead of ourselves, I always talk about grounding in our truth, grounding in our spirit, grounding in the fact that there is one presence, one energy, one essence, and that we are that. We are aligned with that. Even though we may feel separate in this human form, we truly know, and science proves, that everything is of one. And so when we come from this grounded spirit, that's really where what we're really doing is we're tapping into that already perfect, infinite energy presence that liberates, that lifts us up, that says, yes, you can do this. Be bold, be yourself, be authentic. And when we're in alignment with that, then truly anything is possible. Ernest Holmes, our founder, says, to suppose that the creative intelligence of the universe would create man in bondage and leave him bound would be to dishonor the creative power which we call God. To suppose that God could make man as an individual without leaving him or her to discover him or herself would be to suppose an impossibility, he says. Individuality must be spontaneous. It can never be automatic. So that's that sense of being unbounded and unstoppable, because we have free will. We choose. And this is what we focus on. And I do say we. I could say I choose and you choose, but I also want to focus this idea today of togetherness, of we, right? Because what I know to be true is when two people come together, that our power is amplified. And the more we have, the more amplified that is, and we recognize it. So as we talk about being bold, yes, there's the individualistic side. And even more so, we can be bold as within a community. We can be bold as a community. Now, freedom, which is one of I just love even saying that word, feeling free, right? Freedom is a divine quality. And to me, it represents the highest perfection of God. We are free. It is free to be and do. And it is a creative freedom. And often we think of this freedom of and this being bold in essence, we think of freedom from external ideas, perspectives. At the same time, I want to make sure that we're also coming from this idea of internal, right? So that we are free, and if we don't feel free, we often tend to say, well, I can't be free because something outside ourselves. And that may hold true in that moment for any one of us. And at the same time, let's bring it inside, because truly we know that we hold our own limitations. Now we know in truth, there are none, but we imagine them, right? We create them, we hold them. And if we give more power to the limitations, then that's what we experience. So having full freedom to me means having no outer or inner resistance, that we're truly going and being one with and doing activities within this one. As part of what we believes in our Declaration of Principles, Ernest Holmes says that we believe that the ultimate goal of life is to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. Now, this is lofty and definitely, but we have to have our goals, don't we? And this idea that there is this perfect life. Now, are we meant to live that here and now? I don't know. I really don't. I feel that the more we go, the more we experience. And in order to experience things, we have to have what we call perceived challenges. Now, within that, we also hold, of course, the fact that we are always that essence. Our nature is perfect. It can't be hurt. It can't be changed, but at the same time, it is the changeless, right? As we say. Holmes believes that this ultimate goal, and ultimate meaning, and I believe in this coming from like the highest goal that we can obtain, is to have this ultimate freedom, complete freedom from all discord, right? So no resistance, that we are truly one with, and we're going and flowing with that. And he believes that we will all get there And as he says in other places, that if anyone can get there, then we all can get there. And I truly believe that. I believe that there is this unstoppable, infinite presence of being that is all of life. And yet we individually get to embody that to the level of our understanding. How do we do that? Well, we use our spiritual practices, right? And a big one we mentioned a couple of weeks ago is intuition, because our intuition, when we tap into that, that's our relationship with the divine, our communication with God, then it helps us to realize where there may be some, especially inner bondage that we've perceived and are limiting ourselves from this freedom, from feeling and truly being unstoppable, from being bold. So as much as we again tend to focus on the outside, these inner chains of bondage that we have, our own beliefs of limitation, of separation, are what truly factor what's happening on the outside. As we know, it's projection of how we feel is what shows up in our lives. So we can say this is happening, and that would be true on the outside of our lives. And at the same time, because we're feeding that as true on the inside, it just emboldens and makes more permanent that reality. So what do? We come from this place of oneness. Now, another back to basics and principle that Ernest Holmes shares is that we believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. So what's this mean? So what he's saying, and going back to if not just one, but we all have our own individual experience of that which we call God, and that's the only way it can be. You can't learn about God through me. I can share it with you in word, and you can take it with you, but you're going to use your experiences and use it and go from there and determine what that means to you. Yet we're all doing this together, right? So revealing of truth, we're kind of doing that all the time. It's what are we saying is true, though? If we're going to be bold, we're going to focus on the path less followed. And I believe truly at Science of Mind and New Thought is still kind of the path less followed, although more and more are getting on board with truly recognizing a God of love. So the more we do our spiritual work, we recognize these inner limitations, these inner restraints that we have, and then we practice breaking those. We practice coming from a place of truth and realizing that in essence, wasn't true. We only believed it. But what is true for one is true for all, right? That is universal truth. And so by having these limitations, we get to then prove to ourselves that God is truly all, that love is all. And we build this, we continue to build up and strengthen our sense of being unstoppable, being unbounded, and allows us then to be more bold in just being authentically us. There's a lot going on. And this is happening in our lives, guys, every single day. You know this. We're all having our challenges. And this is why I'm so blessed that I found this faith and I found these practices, because they keep me grounded in very difficult times. And I'm going through some right now. And it's awkward. I was telling my wife last night, I said, one of the things that I feel off about is the old me would have been handling what I'm going through now so differently. And when I say differently, meaning non-life affirming, negatively. And I think part of it is I'm doing something new. And it feels awkward because I haven't done it. But at the same time, it feels so much better, right? So when we come from this place, reminding ourselves that we're whole, that we're perfect, that we're complete, then we begin to embody the whole of God. Then we truly become unbounded and unstoppable. Nelson Mandela says, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." So I want to bring us back to this point is we're not just doing it for ourselves, right? there's that phrase where it's, we talk about the weakest link in the chain. And in essence, we don't want to be that. And I don't mean this in a competitive way, meaning we recognize that the more we strengthen ourselves, we're connected to all, we all become more enhanced, stronger, right? So we're not just trying to free ourselves. We are, and we're not. But we can, in this process, recognize that as individuals, we're still part of a greater and unified whole of life that's happening one way or another without us. So let's get on board. Now, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be celebrating, in the United States anyway, our Independence Day. And most countries, most cultures celebrate some kind of a celebration of overcoming a struggle or dominance or control. We have a day of celebrating our self-reliance, of community, and so forth. And this is normal because we go back to this idea that we did it together. And if we come from this place of proclaiming our unboundedness and unstoppableness together, then in essence, we're having our own Independence Day. We're claiming our freedom individually and as part of the whole. And this amplifies this sense of liberty from any restrictions, from any limitations. In essence, when we do this, and I think we should do this regularly, not just once a year, take time to pause to celebrate the freedom that we have just to be doing this. There's countries right now where I can't get online and say what I'm saying. It's hard to believe that happens because we live in America where we have much more freedom than many other countries. So taking time allows us to pause and have a personal reckoning really with ourselves, to stop and recognize and see and discover where we may be selling ourselves short, imposing our own bondage, our own restrictions. And it's during this time that we are truly conscious, right? Consciously recognizing our vibration. Where are we vibrating at? Where are we coming from? If I'm wanting to be of that peace of mind that Alan sung about, where am I coming from? If I don't pause, I won't know. And so it's important. Now, being bold, being unstoppable isn't an easy path most of the time. And I'm going to share a brief story from Nelson Mandela. These are his words. He says, I was in prison for freedom. I was in prison for freedom for 27 years. My 3 activities were solitary confinement, hard labor, investigation, and torture. I had 3 jailers, he says. 2 of them are alive and here with me today. They really are the only people I saw for most of those 27 years. And for the first 17 years, I hated them. Every brief encounter that we had was filled with hatred. In the 17 years of imprisonment, I realized that such hate was unhealthy for me and for the movement. I realized if I spent the rest of my life in prison, that I would die from hatred if I didn't find a way through. Most importantly, I realized that to free my people, I needed to free not only the oppressed, but the oppressor. The oppressor is in a different kind of pain, he says, a different kind of trauma, but just as horrendous as the oppressed. I needed to unlock the hatred by finding a place in my heart for my jailers. So I spent the next year, the 17th year of my imprisonment, learning to love these men. By the end of that year, I knew about their families, their wives, their parents. I found a place in my heart for them, and I loved them. That's when I began to run the movement from the prison. Now, I know this is an extreme example, yet if one can do it, we all can do it. And in essence, we're all suffering from some kind of trauma. And it's this idea of freedom that is that innermost desire to realize, yes, I can be free of these feelings. And there's a pathway, and we don't have to do it alone. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, freedom is not the right to live as we please, but the right to find out how we ought to live in order to fulfill our potential. So yes, how do we want to feel, and what is the pathway to that? So in order to do this, we have to clear the obstacles. We have to clear the ideas of limitation. We have to flip this perspective that we're faulty, that we're fallible. Yes, in some ways we are. As humans, we are. But when we come from this truth that we are holy and sacred and divine, and we are the presence, we may not be practicing the fullness of the presence. We may not be fully aware of the fullness of God itself, but we know it's there, and we are working towards allowing it in. Right? One of the things that really helped me shift inwards is this idea of, we talk about the Christ consciousness, which is to recognize that you are God in expression. And so is everyone else, and so is everything else. And I kept looking at it as another level to obtain. What do I have to do to be that? And then it was brought to my attention that I already am that. And so are you. We have to be, because we come from that perfection. But we're having this experience of being human, that we're not this perfection. And this is the path, is to wake up to this idea that we truly do come from perfection, that we couldn't be any other way, and that making these mistakes is part of this journey back to ourselves. Now, sometimes we have practices that don't support this journey, often simply just by talking about what is, when what is not what we want to experience. That really doesn't help. It's not to say we don't say, hey, this is what's happening, right? If I have a broken arm, I have a broken arm. If I'm in pain, I'm in pain. But then let's get on the road to recovery and healing. Unfortunately, we tend to want to share that with everybody because we do need this attention. And again, none of this is wrong. It's just not going to get us to where we want to be, at least as fast. The other thing we tend to do is gossip. We judge. We throw stones at people. And this keeps us separated and in lack, because the only reason we would throw a stone or judge anyways is we have this feeling of having to be better than someone else. That's not very bold. It doesn't take any energy to do that or to put somebody down. So in an essence, it obviously goes 100% against being unstoppable, as we're stopping somebody else to feel unstoppable. That's not what we teach. And that's not what any of our founders or teachers or wise people that we listen to state. They come from a place of loving another, not casting stones. So it could be, the other thing is we often will hold somebody else's fear, somebody else's negative perspective, and make it our own. We hold that energy, that consciousness within ourselves because we don't really think. We're not taking time to pause and go, wait, they said this. Is this what I want to believe? Do I want to attach my beliefs to this? And this is, again, why we need to celebrate and pause. Day of Independence, a time of independence, of pause. Again, we could do this daily with a 15-minute meditation. Just feel the energy within ourselves. Feel if there's any discontent or discord within our own energy. That'll let us know. Ernest Holmes says that the only reason a person is limited is that they have not allowed the divine within them to more completely express. What does that mean? To me, it means it's there. It's like having a 4-inch hose, and we have this tiny little nozzle that we're letting all that out with, right? And it's just, we're limiting it, where we can just take the limits off and feel truly unstoppable. Feel the boldness of being ourselves, yet not being separate from anyone else. It takes practice. We have to discover what is limiting us. And at the same time, we have to truly know and stop and define what it is that we want to feel. When was the last time you did that? Right? I know probably every one of us listening, including myself, talked yesterday about what we didn't want. Something, a pain, the government, something in the news, whatever. But did we stop and pause and say a prayer for what we wanted? Just put our mind on the path of healing, of recovery, of recognizing and practicing truth. To do this regularly, we must be confident, and we must do it with a sense of conviction, right? So we may start off weaker, right? I don't know what I want. I'm not sure. I want joy. Okay, thank you, God, for the joy. And I get it. That's part of it. And that's an important part of it. Starting is a great part, right? How many times have we thought about doing it and never put it into action? But the more we do it, the more confidence we bring to the practice. The more conviction we are, the more conviction we have, the more energy we're bringing through into that our word, which is not just spoken word, but thought, right? We all understand, like, for example, if I had a truth that I wasn't sure about, the energy, if measurable, is not going to be as strong as if there is a truth that I am 100% sure about. So then the work is for me to practice daily, consistently, being disciplined to align myself. I'm not trying to necessarily, how do I say that? Pretend, but I'm going from this idea of a low level of belief to a high level of belief because I have practiced it and it has shown up in my life. It has manifested. I have reaped the rewards. My experience has changed. I've gone from feeling limited. I've gone from feeling stuck, depressed, worthless, weak, fill in the blank, to taking the steps to feeling better. And if you feel better by doing that, truly better, then keep going, because there's another level, and then there's another level, and it will be guided from the inside out. We talk about this all the time. More Ernest Holmes, and then there's two back to back because they work perfectly with each other. Ernest Holmes says that we are surrounded by an infinite possibility. Just pause right there. An infinite possibility. That means no matter what you're trying to experience, that it's a possibility within the mind and the presence and the beingness of spirit. Hold that. To me, that's important. To know that, okay, I really want X. I'm not sure how it's going to happen. And a lot of my thoughts are against it. But yet, even in that, there still remains a possibility, because there must be, because God is all things. Now he continues, he says, it is goodness, life, law, and reason, and it wishes to express through us. What is what looking to express through us? This infinite possibility. So that which our desire, our innermost desires to break free, technically exists somewhere. And we know that because we can feel it. And it's wanting to express, and the only way it can express is through us, right? I used to come from the idea of I'll believe it when I see it. And then I was taught that that's backwards. It's we'll see it when we believe it. In other words, when I hold the thought, we call it again the mental equivalent, and we have more than one. So my mental equivalent on my perfect career expression, creative expression, is being a senior minister full time. And I can go within and I can tell you in detail what that looks like, what that feels like. So therefore, I am on the path to now having that manifest. But if I wait and go, well, I want this to happen first, and I want that to happen first, and when I have the center and when we have so many members, then I'll really show up. It doesn't work that way. And that's often too, in other words, that if that's our truth, that's the truth we're experiencing, which is we're limiting the fullness of the infinite expression of God. So I said there were two. Ernest Holmes also said that we are surrounded by and immersed in an infinite good. How much of this infinite good is ours? All of it. So I wanted to share this quote because so often we limit our own good. We have a desire, and I do this. I still catch myself doing it all the time. I want this, but, well, look at the economy. How would that ever happen? How would I open a business in today's economy? I don't even know how to do it. It's all technological. I'm not technological. And we just limit. And I do this by kinking our own hose. That hose is looking to flow through us like it's already there, but we're damming it up, and we can feel it. We can feel it within ourselves getting heavy because we're like, I really want this. And then, and it just dams up inside us. But when we speak it, it feels good, doesn't it? So why don't we just continue to follow that flow more regularly? Speak it more often. Okay? This does take a sense of being bold. Okay? And we can practice this to the point to where maybe I begin to feel unstoppable. How could I be unstoppable? Because you recognize the unstoppable presence of energy and essence that is divine unfolding. So we do this with a sense of being convicted, having discipline, practicing daily, and then we, in essence, gain the courage for many of us to come out of our own closet. And we're all in a closet somewhere. We have these secrets, or we have these beliefs that are back there. You're not good enough. What if somebody finds out you like this, or you do this, or you feel this way? Okay? To be bold. Okay? It takes courage. And to me, practicing this faith, one day at a time, one prayer at a time, and not just by myself. I've reached out several times this week for assistance. To why? Not to necessarily give me answers, to remind me of who I am. And if we do anything in this community, I think it's that. We remind you who you are. You're the perfection of the divine. You are that infinite possibility. Living a life. How wonderful is that? Taking that perspective again that I call the satellite view. I've been doing that a lot too with what's going on in my life and everything. If when I'm in it, it doesn't always feel good. That microscopic view, that pinpoint view where I don't feel like I control everything and I start feeling negative. But as I pull back, I realize the absolute perfection of the flow of the whole universe, let alone just my circumstance. And it's important to remember, again, that we are one of an individual of a whole. And there's actually a theory about this, and it's called holarchy. And so I'm going to share a quote with you. I think this is important to understand because we talk about being religious science. Right? We have our faith and that it's, in essence, provable. And so Judy Canado, she says, living in freedom requires that we recognize the connectedness that is a basic reality of our existence, that we are whole-uns, and I'll explain that in a minute, whole-uns within whole-uns within whole-uns. All we do affects all the other wholes of which we are part, and all the other parts that make us whole. Living in freedom in a conscious way means that we are always becoming part of a greater whole, trusting that the Creator is continuing to create not only within us, but all around us. So I'm going to show you a picture. So first of all, this idea of holarchy was first introduced by a gentleman named Arthur Koestler, I believe. And a holon, and I'm going to read the definition first for those that like these things, and I do. A holon refers to a semi-autonomous entity that, while functioning independently, simultaneously form an integral part of a holistic hierarchy. So, as an individual, you're operating, but you're still part of a greater group. And I have a picture that kind of shows this, right? So I don't have a laser in this one. So at the level of being human, hopefully you can see my thing here, there are smaller holons, organisms, communities within us, and we're at the same time part of a larger system and beyond, all happening at the same time. So when we get to a level sense of freedom, we're affecting everything else within us, aren't we? So it's a noble pursuit. So let's try to bring it to a close to refresh here. So in order to feel unbounded, We have to have a sense of freedom ourselves, and to release ourselves of our self-imposed imprisonment, really. And in order to feel unstoppable, again, we have to free ourselves of these obstacles that we perceive as stopping us, that there's a boundary that I just can't go past. That is not truth. Now, in the moment, that may be true, right? I cannot do this yet. You may not be able to do it in the moment. Let's say I'm trying to jump a certain level. I can only get to here, but I want to get to here. I can't get there yet. And we realize our own self-imposed limitations because we pause. We do our spiritual practices. We pause and examine our own lives, our own beliefs, our own thoughts, our own perceptions. And we ask ourselves, is this in alignment with the life that I want to live? And the next step is to define that life that we want to live. And then take bold steps towards having that, towards becoming that. We have to become it before we can have it, right? So Ernest Holmes says, there we go. Communion with the Spirit is one of the greatest privileges of life. Let me read that again. Communion, being one with the Spirit, is one of the greatest privileges of life. By communion, we mean silently entering into divine harmony and beauty until we feel that harmony and beauty in our own souls, in our own minds. That is the practice of meditation, of beingness. And so again, this is a very practical wisdom that we have here, and it can seem overwhelming. And going back to the Confucius would say, the man who moves mountains begins by carrying away the small stones first. So in other words, how do we start? Just take the smallest step you can. You're still on the path. Again, we all have a pain. We all have something, a self-imposed limitation, and yet we can all live a freer, fuller life. And I believe as a father, it has been and I'm just going to say as a parent, this is what we do. Right? We go within and try to become the best of us that we can, our best selves, so that we can then show our children how to do that. Now, and as Gwen perfectly noted, whether you have children of your own, whether they're stepchildren, whether you just raise somebody else's, or whether you're a father figure, it's all the same. We're all doing the same thing. Okay. And I wanted to share a last quote with you that comes from a Native American kind of theme, because it comes from Billy Mills, who is of the Lakota tribe. He says, when you know who you are, when your mission is clear, and you burn with the inner fire of unbreakable will, no cold can touch your heart. No deluge can dampen your purpose. You know you are alive. So do what makes you feel alive. Yes? Yes. All right. So part of our spiritual practices is affirmations this week. And again, say it with conviction. Practice it many, many times so you get to that point to when you say it. You are alive with what you're saying and affirming. I am unbounded. I am unstoppable. I am free to be completely me. Yes. And so I bring this into prayer. I bring this into the quiet, peaceful place within me. I close my eyes so that I can focus on this presence, this energy, this essence that is unstoppable, because it is all that there is. There cannot be a power greater than it. I know it through my own experience as unconditional love. It just is love, and it loves, and there's nothing I could do about it. It loves me for and as and who I am, and it loves you just the way you are, because it is not God and me and you. It is God as us. We are the divine expressions, being bold, being in this human experience where we do feel separate, where we do believe there are some limitations at some level. And this is the journey of knowing that, to take on the Christian term, that there is an all-loving Father figure, right? That creator, that protector. But we all know that that is who we are as well. So it's not outside of us. It is within our very own soul, our very own existence. And we come from this place, this Christ consciousness, this truth that we are that highest self. And we practice being that to the best of our ability each and every moment, individually and collectively, as we recognize ourselves as a great part of a greater whole, and that there are holes within ourselves, our systems within ourselves. And so we operate in harmony. We operate in love. We operate in perfect vibration with each other to create that life that we love. So we celebrate this day as we focus particularly on fathers. We focus on love. We focus on relationships. We focus on truly just being the best that we can be today. And let's affirm this with conviction by saying, and so it is.
Thank you so much, Joe. I needed to hear this message today. We talk about self-imposed obstacles. And if I can just remember that I may only be taking baby steps on that path, I'm still making the journey. So, and some days that's the best we can do, and that's okay.
Well, and to go back to the perfect point, we can't change what we're not aware of. So the fact that you're taking baby steps means that you're aware of.
Yes.
Right? Which means you can then change it.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now we've got some announcements. We have so much going on here in St. George, well, and all across the country in June. But happy Pride Month. There's been lots of celebrations, and I think they'll continue. As I said before, it's Father's Day today. Happy Father's Day. Summer solstice. We're celebrating the 21st of June is when summer begins. Although it's so warm here, it's over 100 in St. George, so it feels like summer is upon us. And then, of course, Juneteenth, Freedom Day. So lots of activities happening. So as you can see on the screen, we have prayer requests. You can email us at that address. Our practitioners are willing to and lovingly willing to pray with you, for you, whatever you should need. Please reach out. Join us today, our Zoom conversation at noon, as we continue the discussion of whatever was spoken today. Abundant prosperity. There are so many ways, and we are so grateful that you can help us as a center. You can give Zelle to Zelle. It's a bank transfer system. You can give online on the website, PayPal link, or the QR code, or just simply give by mail by sending a check to the PO box listed on the screen. So upcoming Sundays, we've got Joe back again next Sunday, Higher Heights. And then a treat, because we have an extra Sunday in June, the last Sunday of the month, we have our practitioners plugged in, talking about colorful to the core. So please join us. So Marina is going to pop us all up for our closing affirmation. I invite you to say this with us. The words are so very, very powerful. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all that I do.
I am it. I embrace it, and I share it.
Just the way that it is, and just the way that it is becoming.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just saw that you lost my slide. So I'm going to invite, if you're really interested, particularly in the holarchy that I showed, you need to show up at our community meeting, and I will show it there.
Perfect.
Right.
I love your slides. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. Happy Pride Month.
Day.
click, click, click.
All right, Dan.